How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about MMAT metamaterials. I know it's been a minute, so I want to give you guys an update. I have some great news that I want to share with you guys. But before we get started, of course, we got to go over the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you are a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing that we're going to be going over is the technical analysis, taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support and we also want to know resistance. This will give you a good idea in regards to having a strategy if you're deciding to purchase this stock, because I always feel like you need to know as much as you can before you actually push that buy button. And then secondly, we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and as well as the short interest information. This is definitely key because it will impact the stock price, and as well we want to know are institutions actually bullish on the stock as well. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. Were institutions loading up on shares on Friday? Hey, we want to know, because again, this can signal a bullish sign. And then when all of that is done, we'll be jumping into the final thoughts. So let's get to it. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for MMAT metamaterials. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing the day at $3.50, being down 1.13%. On the low, it tested $3.40, and then on the high, testing $3.61. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, we can see we traded at 7.115 million shares, and as far as for the average volume over 10 trading days, being at 18.254 million shares. So well below average there, and of course, since it was a Friday, we did have some pressure in regards to selling. Now, when we take a look at the indicators on our chart, we're using the 1-year daily chart. You can see from the RSI down below, we're around 39.72. And as far as for the indicators on the chart, we are below the 100-day, the 21-day EMA, and we're also below the 200-day. So one of the things that we were talking about in previous videos, we want to see how well it was going to continue to hold up support. And if it decides to continue to consolidate in these particular areas, that's really not a bad thing, because then it could set us up for a nice movement to the upside. And that's what we're continuing to do, continuing to consolidate and have support, sticking within that strong range. Like I was saying, on the lower range of being under the 200-day, we've seen support at 319, and now we have this range here going all the way up to 370. We ended up testing 360, of course, before hitting some selling pressure, but closed the day at 350. So like I was saying before, like it's pretty much near the bottom, right? So that's why I'm definitely looking forward at some point for MMAT to have a nice spike and actually come back to reclaiming the 21-day EMA here at $4.53. I only think it's just a matter of time this is going to be happening. But one thing that we have to make sure that we're doing, we're going to continue to track the order flow here, but it does look, as far as from a technical side, we are primed for a big strong run up due to the fact we've been holding up support here. But do keep in mind, when we do get to the 21-day EMA at $4.53, this will definitely be another area of resistance, and I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting hit with a lot of selling pressure. So that's just one thing to do keep in mind in case you were thinking about trading off of the fluctuations. But for the most part, I would just love to see MMAT just get comfortable above the 200-day. I think that's the most preferable scenario here, which is around $3.70. So we're on Fintel. We're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership for metamaterials. So as we scroll down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So we can see here, for as far as for July the 29th going to the 30th, we want to look at the most recent here. We have CWM LLC that purchased 100 shares. We also have Alliance Bernstein LP that has 168,700 shares, and we have Tradewinds Capital Management LLC that has 200 shares. So yes, we are definitely seeing institutions are getting involved by purchasing shares. As far as when we take a look at the short interest information, you can see the short volume ratio being at 22.76. As we scroll down on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.3 million. And as far as for the short ball free rate, it is at 3%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we can see on the 29th, it was at 39.55. And then on the 30th, being at 50.76, and this is taking the numbers from FINRA. So knowing that we have that much of a short volume ratio of just over 50%, definitely a lot of short squeeze potential in MMAT. But again, in order for us to actually force this, you need to have a lot of buying volume coming through the stock. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for MMAT. So we can see here on the inflow is at 5,052, and then on the outflow it was at 6,128. On the large side for the inflows, we had 249, and as far as on the medium, we had 2,708, and on the small, we had 2,095. On the large side for the outflow, we had 0. Medium, we had 3,947, so a lot on the medium side there. And then on the small, we had 2,181. When we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for July the 30th, Friday, having that big time inflow of 249.2. So this is definitely great to see. We saw institutions were loading up with large scale orders on the Friday. And this also corresponds with what we saw on FinTel as well, with institutions that are loading up. So this is definitely a great sign, and it can indicate that we can look forward to seeing a spike very soon. We also do know earnings is coming up as well. But before I even go any further, let's just jump into the final thoughts and close this video out. So for my final thoughts for MMAT metamaterials, I'm going to be keeping it on my watch list. I want to see how well it decides to perform for the coming week. And part of the reasons being is we see that institutions are loading up on shares. We saw that they were purchasing on Friday, and we could also see on FinTel them loading up as well. So we have some correspondence there. And as far as for the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. So if we have a lot of buying volume coming through inside of the stock, then we can look forward to seeing some strong moves in price action. In regards to the earnings, when I took a look, I hear they're going to be putting it out there on August the 16th. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I do see there could be some anticipation towards that run up, like we've seen with similar stocks we talked about on this channel in a very same particular type of a situation. So with all of that said, do know this play can be extremely risky. So if you're going to be playing off to the fluctuations, make sure that you have a strategy. For anyone who is holding shares, of course, you want to look forward to seeing some good news. And of course, on top of that, you do believe in the long-term prospects, else you wouldn't be holding shares in the first place. And that goes over another point that I want to talk with you guys as well. Many of you are saying, hey, how are you able to protect profits or make money if the stock is going down? This is the reason why I emphasize the fact we trade off momentum. We trade off of swings. If you know how a stock fluctuates throughout the day, you could have a game plan going in on every single day of how to make money off of those fluctuations, whether it's a 10-cent move, a 20-cent move, and so forth. This is how you go about doing it. But of course, if you're going to be holding these shares and even holding for quite some time, of course, you're going to be down on your position. This is part of the reasons why when it comes to risky plays like these, I do not recommend it for anyone who's looking just to buy and hold. Of course, you want to look for some stability. And as far as for the overall value, where does it match up in regards to the stock price? This is where you're gonna have to take a look at a variety of factors, and does it really make sense? You got to ask yourself these questions when you're going long-term on these particular plays, and this is part of the way how you go about investing and also minimizing your downside risk. Whenever you're buying into stocks that are looked at as being really overvalued, then of course there's going to be a lot of risk there. But when you end up buying a stock where you know what, it's looked at as being fair value in regards to the market, and as far as when you do your research and as well as your due diligence, then you're less likely to be losing a lot of money. And I want to make sure that you're clear about this. That's why with these plays, I'm going to emphasize it, especially when it comes to penny stocks here, you want to be extremely careful and just make sure they do not take up a large portion of your portfolio. This is what is so key here. Stop aiming to go for home runs all the time. It is a bad way to go about actually making money consistently inside of the stock market. I want to make sure I really emphasize this because I know many of you have said, hey, you know, I've been in all sorts of different plays and I'm bag holding, and I'm like, you know what? You shouldn't be in these type of plays in the first place. Look for solid plays. And as far as for metamaterials is concerned, I'm not saying they don't have any potential. I do see they have some potential, but it's going to take quite a bit of time. And if you have the patience, then of course there is a possibility this can pay off for you. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.